Ben and Rook are seen hanging upside down over a group of cats in a warehouse at the beginning of the episode, bound together. Nyancy-chan, a new antagonist, puts a lot of cats on Ben's face and gloats about having the two restrained. When Ben asks Rook who she is, Rook responds that she is in charge of the cats. Rook struggles to get the ribbon off of Ben and himself. After learning of the pair's escape, Nyancy makes the decision to sicken her tigers on them. Nyancy looks to have Rook mesmerized, but Rook pursues her and tackles her down. Ben changes into Perk Upchuck, eats them, and then spits them up again. Rook responds that he isn't that hypnotized and that he is merely cat-like, not a cat, when Nyancy tries to induce him to attack Ben. Rook questions why Upchuck would swallow tigers whole as he watches Nyancy being arrested by the plumbers. When asked if he is accustomed to eating such things, he responds that he feels as though millions of stomachs are crying out in hunger before becoming curious. Upchuck returns to his normal self and informs Rook that they will be going on a trip. Ben and Rook are traveling to Peptos XI, the home of the Gourmands, in space on the proto-truck. According to Rook's computer research, there are two kinds of Gourmands, the Perks and the Murks. Ben becomes disgusted when Rook informs him that all Gourmands have a common link to a trans-Pacific interdimension. The proto-truck is then struck by big pebbles, and Rook flies past them. When Ben spots something, Rook tells him that it might be the hybrid, Agregor, or Vilgax. Ben and Rook are threatened by the assailants, who are revealed to be the Incurseans. Rook tells Ben that now is not the time to inquire about their activities in the area. Ben tries to change into Jetre, but ends up changing into Big Chill as Rook begins shooting down the Incursean warships. As Big Chill turns intangible to avoid other people's blasts, he begins to freeze the Incursean ships. Then, as Rook does his best to prevent it from colliding with Peptos XI, Big Chill takes off again toward the proto-truck. They begin looking for the Gourmands as soon as they touch down on the planet. Ben and Rook choose to assist after spotting a massive conflict between the Incurseans and the Gourmands. Ben leaps into action and changes into Echo Echo as one of the Gourmands is cornered. He divides into two, and while Rook battles some Incurseans on his own, they save the Gourmand. Echo Echo divides into further clones in the meantime, and they eliminate the Incurseans using the Wall of Sound. While the rescued Gourmand insists that Ben release him, Rook catches up to Echo Echo. Echo Echo then changes back into normal after throwing the Gourmand to one side of the other Gourmands. Although Ben is a Murk, the Gourmand scolds him for throwing him to the Perk side. Ben begins to show signs of concern as the Perks lift their spoons at him. The Murk is questioned by the Perks, who want to know Ben's origins. The group is then informed by the Murk Gourmand that it is Ben Tennyson. The Perk Commander Sergeant Cookmeister and the Murk Commander Sergeant Cast Iron are then fighting while Ben, Rook, the Murk Gourmand, and a few Perk Gourmands make their way to a stadium. Ben responds that they are fighting the Incurseans, and the Murk Gourmand concurs, identifying himself as Private Brownbag. When Ben inquires about his whereabouts, Brownbag informs him that Queen Voratia Rumbletum, the Queen of the Gourmands, has been taken prisoner. Rook wonders what Plan Omega is, and Cookmeister advises choosing it. Both sides of the Gourmands start fighting anew after Brownbag informs Rook that it's the big one that only the Queen can order. In an attempt to soothe the group, Ben takes on the personas of Perk Upchuck and Murk. Ben tries to calm Cast Iron and Cookmeister after Perk Upchuck returns to normal, but Cast Iron responds by promising to organize a team to go out and save the Queen, and Ben accepts. Rook supports Cookmeister, who disagrees and wants to spearhead a full-scale offensive on the enemy. After a heated argument, Ben and Rook agree to follow their individual Gourmands and wish one another well. We see Attea, who is finding Raph on an Incursean ship. When Raph arrives, Attea instructs him to phone Nilius and inform him that the moment has arrived. Attea yells at Raph, claiming to be in charge of the army, and gives him the order to fetch the Queen, after Raph tells her that the Gourmands are far more resilient than they realize. Queen Voratia Rumbletum was organizing a large feast party when Incursean warriors arrived, telling her that the Queen ought to give her Peptos XI. Attea yells at her. The Queen is quite surprised to hear that the Incursean ship is being attacked by the Murk Gourmands. As the Murk Gourmands begin assaulting the Incurseans below, two Incurseans remove the Queen. In another passage, an Incursean is about to assault the Murk Gourmands when Big Chill steps in and stops him. Raph, speaking through a speaker, questions what is happening as Ben and the Murk Gourmands continue their journey. Ben does his best Incursean impersonation, while Big Chill returns to normal, claiming nothing is happening, and Raph leaves. After knocking off a few more Incurseans, the Murk Gourmands deliver cast iron to the Queen. After they release her, Attea bursts into the room and yells at Ben. When Attea gives the order for everyone to stand, Ben changes into Spider Monkey and removes the Queen. The Queen is knocked out of Spider Monkey by Attea, and the Murk Gourmands fight the Incurseans. After Spider Monkey is knocked away by Attea, he returns to his usual state. Attea takes the Queen as hostage and threatens Ben to shoot her if he tried to transform in another alien. Rook and the Perk Upchucks begins battling the Incurseans head-on Peptos XI. Rook begins to understand that he ought to have paid attention to Ben when Cookmeister claims there are many of them. But when he returns to the Incursean ship, Ben understands that he ought to have paid attention to Rook. Attea continues to threaten the Queen in the meantime. The Queen begins to bite Attea's head after telling them not to listen to her. The Queen is successfully thrown into Ben and the Murk Gourmands by Attea. Attea charges at Ben as he rises up and changes into Kick and Hawk to engage in combat once more. Rook defeats more Incurseans outside before spotting a big rolling tank object approaching them. Kick and Hawk is still battling with Attea back on Incursean ship. After giving the order to charge, the Queen knocks Attea and Kick and Hawk close to an airlock. Everyone is flung into space when it abruptly opens. With Attea clinging to the top of the proto-truck, Kick and Hawk is able to board it. Rook and the Perk Gourmands attempt to dodge the massive Incursean tank back on Peptos XI. Attea knocks the Queen off after Rook spots Kick and Hawk piloting the proto-truck. As Kick and Hawk keeps fighting Attea, the Queen is able to cling to a ledge of the rolling tank. Rook uses his proto-tool to rescue the Queen as Kick and Hawk gets back to normal. Ben is knocked away by Attea, who transforms into Water Hazard and blasts her off the proto-truck with water, sending her down into the Incurseans. Ultimately, Rook takes down the moving tank to vanquish the Incurseans. The Perk and Murk Gourmands, however, are still engaged in combat when the Queen silences them. The Queen then tells the Gourmand race that it's time to eat Peptos XI and leave for another kingdom. The Gourmands begin consuming Peptos XI, including the abandoned Incursean ships, when the Queen informs Ben that this is Plan Omega and there is nothing else to eat. After Attea and the Incurseans depart, Ben, bewildered, changes back into Perk Upchuck to assist in eating Peptos XI, and the other Gourmands start flying in pursuit of a new home. Milius is happy when Attea, using a hologram, tells him that the invasion was successful and that she ordered the destruction of Peptos XI in order to send a message across the universe. Milius then foreshadows his next attack by pointing to a hologram of Earth and declaring that the rest of the galaxy will collapse.